Even so, they can probably really feel their top four hopes slipping away, especially after that second half. We can hear now from Jurgen Klopp with Des.
Jurgen, you started the first half very effectively, but seemed to get caught cold at the second half and never recovered, really. Is that right?
Yeah. I think we saw a first half which you could expect, a dominant City side with us, really good organised. At our moments, always when we played, we were really in the game. We caused some problems as well, scored a wonderful goal. Had another big counter-attacking moment where we could have played it better. So 1-1 half time, it's clear. You can show the boys what we have to do, where we have to defend them, because the key areas are clear. The key areas are if we don't control the 6-6, you have a real problem. If you then don't control the 10, Gundogan, De Bruyne in between, then it's pretty much impossible to play, because then the pitch becomes too big. So we concede this first goal. So I think an open ball in midfield where we don't even have a challenge. Then the ball outside, we are too deep, and then the counter attack happens. Great play. 2-1. Directly after that, 3-1, where we have a massive overload on one side, should win the ball, but don't even have a challenge. So these kind of things absolutely cannot happen, but they happened. And after that, we were just open, like, wow. They could do whatever they want, and we just had to follow. We are lucky that they didn't. We're not in the most greedy mood. They scored a fourth one, but then they were happy, obviously, kind of as well. So apart from that, there's nothing good to say about this game. This is a game which we have to use, unfortunately, to make clear which things cannot happen. We cannot not have challenges in key areas. We cannot be that kind of open. That's absolutely not possible, but it happened, and no, I stand here, have to explain it, and cannot explain it. I just can describe it.
Can you explain it?
They seem to have lost that mojo in Liverpool. It's hard to put a finger on exactly why. I think you looked at the midfield before the game. Every single City midfielder gets in the team. If you try to merge both teams and say put the best players in, that's an element there of concern, I think, for Liverpool, and they'll address in the summer. But I'll be fearful as a Liverpool fan about top four right now. There's teams around them with games in hand, look more consistent, and it seemed like they've got a bit of an edge on them now. And I think it's worrying times, I think, for Klopp and his team. It's
such a big week. It's Chelsea away next, then it's Arsenal, and a huge week. It's not just catching Newcastle and Tottenham, Peter. They've got to worry about Brentford and Brighton behind them.
Yeah, they do, and that seems bizarre considering sort of last season and where they've been. Where they are now is miles from that. I think we saw a gulf in the two teams today, where Man City are and where Liverpool are as teams. And it's not the first time. Let's be honest. Away from home, Liverpool's record's been poor, and I think coming here today, obviously we're all hopeful that Liverpool have got the capabilities to go and beat Manchester City away, but the record and how it's been, it's not just a one-off. It's been a disappointing season, certainly away from home.
Yeah, just one win in 2023 away from home. How do you see the race for the top four now, Jolien?
I think there's too many variables that needs to happen for Liverpool for them to finish in the top four. I think there's too many teams in good form, playing exciting football, confidence a lot higher than Liverpool's for them to rely on other results. I think if it was down to them solely, I think, they have the capabilities of winning the games we've just seen on the screen. But in regards to them needing other teams to lose and drop points, I don't see that happening.
The best performance in his 7 years here, that's a big statement.
Yeah, I think it goes along with the opposition. I think if they perform like that against other teams, but the magnitude of Liverpool and what they've done in recent years and the level that they've set and matched Man City in regards to the title contenders, but today was exceptional. Like we said, they put them to the sword, but what surprised me was the ease they did it at. It wasn't an uncomfortable 4-win victory. It wasn't a struggle. Yeah, they conceded early on, but after that it was kind of, we're going to dominate this game.
And you talked about how Julian Alvarez stepped up in the absence of Haaland today. He was involved in everything today, Peter, including that third City goal today.
Yeah, he really was. Yeah, we mentioned him before the game. I think he gets in every other Premier League team in the country, and just because he's behind Haaland at the moment, he's not had the games he would have liked, but he's a constant menace. He's involved in everything. He's constantly on the move. He's unselfish. He draws players towards him. He works hard. He's got everything. He's a team player, and he chips in with goals as well.
I think that's the perfect way to sum up. He's a team player. Look at Mahrez, he was magnificent today. He's drawn 5 players towards him there that gives someone else like Alvarez the space in there, and obviously the ball drops to Gundogan. But he's one of the players. Jolio mentioned it before. He might be giving you a harder day's work without the amount of goals maybe than Haaland when you play against him, because of the amount of work that he does. He's so tenacious. I watched him in the World Cup. He's flying around doing 2 or 3 mans running, because he's infectious for other people around the stadium as well, not just on the pitch. And I think he's a real asset. And I think you have to tip your hat to the recruitment at the club. To find him for £12 million was ridiculous.
From River Plate, yeah, unbelievable business. I know it seems like an obvious question, but does Haaland automatically come back into the side, or could there be a certain game? No, a certain game.
60, 70 goals.
Yeah, a certain game where his attributes work better than Haaland's, where you put him in because he is that good and he's that good competition. Obviously, Haaland has 42 goals, so he gets in.
But you're never going to know what that game is until there's a game when Haaland doesn't score. I think that's the conversation is when Haaland doesn't play and doesn't score, or should we play Alvarez, and it's vice versa. So I think the more Alvarez or whoever plays, they score goals and they contribute to the team, and we've seen them play together and also contribute. So I don't think there's a bad choice in either of them.
Help me out, Peter.
No, I think you can play both. I know you can't drop Haaland, obviously, but you can play both. I mean, he is, as I said, we said he's a team player. I think he'd be willing to drop into holes to allow Haaland to be that lead man to run the line. And I think you can play them both, find a way to get them in.
Let's talk about Jack Grealish, because he really was the standout performer today, wasn't he? He got the goal that his performance deserved. But what's changed since the World Cup? 8 assists since then.
Yeah, I don't know, there's a confidence now in him. I think the fitness, he looks really fit out there. He said that in his post-match interview as well. And that's a key part to any footballer when you're playing. You want to be confident, but you want to be fit and be able to carry out what the manager's asking. But he's now confident in his system. It's a confident-looking team. I think the fact that the Liverpool midfield was narrow and enabled him to be 1v1 and face up Trent Alexander-Arnold all morning or afternoon, gives him a chance to actually play his best parts of his game, which is running and dribbling with the ball. Again, the narrow midfield means that he's isolating out wide the fullback. And then when he's running in these situations, he's another one. He brings 2 or 3 players to you and then can find the other 3 man on the pitch. He's a fabulous player. When this guy's in full flow, he's one of the best to watch. I love him.
How hard is he to defend against?
Yeah, very difficult, because what he's recognised is he doesn't necessarily need to go past Trent. The ball needs to go past Trent, so whether it's a cross, shot, whatever it may be, I'll run at you. As soon as I find you flat-footed, the ball's going to go past you. And for me, he was that section all day. Obviously, Pep reference to the tracking back, but in full flow, Rio said he's fit, he's strong, and he's a match for anyone at the moment.
Yeah, Liverpool could have gone 2-0 up, but for his interception in that first half, which was absolutely crucial, as crucial as his goal was, and his assist at the end there. But no questions now, Peter, about whether he's worth 100 million.
No, well, yeah, that's a lot of money, I'll be honest. But
that's quieted down a bit.
Yeah, well, it has done, because his performances have warranted that. Like you say, he's come back from the World Cup and he's contributing. And we always knew he was a top player, but he wasn't quite getting the numbers. Those kinds of numbers, like 8 assists after the World Cup. If he gets goals, adds goals to it as well. He's become one of Man City's most important players, and that's a credit to him from where he was.
I think in this team as well, there's going to be phases where they have a lot of the ball, and teams are going to be wanting to get and be aggressive against you and come up against you. You've got to have players who are brave to take the ball. He wants the ball under any circumstances. Give me the ball, I'll take it. I've been kicked 10 times, I'll get up, dust myself down, give me it again. Those players are invaluable to this team in the way that Pep wants to play.
Yeah. What are Arsenal thinking now ahead of their game with Leeds after that performance? Not just the win, but the manner of it.
I think they would have separated the result regardless. I think you can use it as motivation if it doesn't go your way. But in regards to today, they'll be fully focused on what they need to do. They're still in control, as Jack referenced in his interview. They're in control of this situation. They do their job, then Man City, it's impossible for them to catch. So I'm sure they're aware of that. We've seen how Mikel's managing them, staying focused. He's obviously learnt from one of the best in regards to Pep. So I'm sure they're focused on what they need to do. But yeah, there's a lot of matches to go, and it's a big result today, because I don't see Liverpool losing 3 games in a week, and hopefully one of them is one of them victories against Arsenal.
Goodness me. He felt ill all morning. Imagine if he felt fine.
He can feel ill every morning if he's going to perform like that. I think no one will complain. I think he was tremendous on both sides, attacking and defensive, and his tactical knowledge of the way he played Trent. Like we said at the start, we thought they would hang wide, and they just overload both sides, and he just capitalised massively off of it.
Let's have a look at his goal then, because that's the one area you all think he needs to add to his game, and he's got one in a big game today.
Definitely. We all know he was sort of the main man, wasn't he, at Aston Villa? Everything went through him, goals and assists and everything. Since he's been at City, then he's part of a world-class squad. He's almost started and ended this move here on the left-hand side with De Bruyne. But yeah, goals I think is the one thing he needs to improve on. And we just see at the bottom of the screen here how Manchester City like to overload in wide areas. And then switch the ball quite quickly, and once they did, it was a great first touch. And
it was, and you can see what was that. But like Liverpool in that second half, you look at the amount of time that Manchester City had in the in Liverpool's half, you know. And again, you're looking at a Liverpool defence that's not dropped off with a midfielder with time on the ball, and then you can see the overload on Trent's side. And once they get to that, Jack Grealish and Kevin De Bruyne, something's going to be created if you've got a 2-on-1, and it was
19 passes.
Yeah,
lead up to that.
Well, that's the thing with Liverpool. Like I say, they came out in the second half, and what you want to do is you want to be tight on City. You want to make it difficult for them, like they tried to do in the first half, and they didn't. It was easier for City for the way they passed the ball around, and it was no surprise to me. If you give City that much time and space, and you sit off them, they are going to score, no doubt.
That finished it, Sean, but of course what started it really was 53 seconds into the second half with Kevin De Bruyne's goal.
This is great play here for me. They win it back on knockdown, they recycle the ball, and then they calm down. But this pass here, I think, is from Alvarez in the back there to Mahrez, is, for me, unbelievable. From that happens, it opens Liverpool up completely. And Kevin gambles and gets a nice tap in, but I feel like that chance is a little bit harder than people think. He's had to keep his eye on it, plus the goalkeeper trying to dive across it, and he does it perfectly.
Liverpool's, again, you can't take anything away from how City have totally destructed them there, destroyed them, I should say, with Liverpool pushing forward with no real organisation in what they're trying to do. You see Nathan Ake able to pass it out, and within one pass that, you know, Alvarez has knocked it out to the right wing, and they're into Liverpool's back three, back two, whatever it was. It was a very poor performance from Liverpool, but very dominating performance from City.
Back to front again, Michael, from City.
Absolutely, Steve. We looked at half-time, didn't we, in terms of when Manchester City were outnumbered by Liverpool in attacking areas. Well, look at this, just leading up to the Manchester City goal. 4 players there against the 3 defenders of Manchester City. And when we just forward it on slightly, we can see Trent Alexander-Arnold is out of position in this area, and that has the knock-on effect, because when Liverpool lose the ball, all of a sudden what you're going to see is one coming out here, cascade, you know, then he has to come across. Then Henderson doesn't get the right side of De Bruyne righty, and all of a sudden, watch it go, one after another, and all of a sudden the problem is on the top end of the screen.
Yeah, well, like you see Konate coming in, you see Van Dijk coming in, so then that leaves De Bruyne all the space in the world to run into to just finish. It was, like I say, they destroyed them them in the end. And Liverpool, you just felt like they just couldn't get anywhere near them in the second half. Couldn't get near them.
And what about the build-up for Gundogan's goal again? I think it was 14 passes in the build-up to this one.
Well, again, when you look at the spaces, you know, that they've had. Look, you've got like Alvarez in there. He actually has 3 touches on the ball in the box. That's how much time he's got in there. He's got so much time. Look how much. You look at it from here. There's no look at the space, and this is just continuous, like space, not tight enough. So he's not gone. He should have went. Then he should have went across to De Bruyne. Now that it's just like it's too easy. It's too easy because Liverpool are not organised. Everybody's chasing. They're not going impact. Look, he's gone. No one else is gone. So then that's all that's going to happen. Then when they speed it up like now, you know, Liverpool look, there's people falling over. You know, they don't know what they're doing. And now, look, 1, 2, he's got 3 touches. Trent does well to block it, but then you've got someone standing in the box with time to put it in the net. And you just think to yourself, that is poor play from a team playing away from home against arguably one of the best possession teams in the world. And they've given them the opportunity to do that, and that's why they got unravelled.
Now, much discussion, of course, about the absence of Erling Haaland before the game, but Julian Alvarez has now started 16 City games, and today scored his 12th goal.
Well, we know what he was capable of before the game. We knew he scored goals. But I think when you're put in a position where you're taking the place of somebody like Haaland that does score a lot of goals in a game of this magnitude, you know it's going to be hard. And the one thing you know he's going to give you is the work rate. We know he can retain possession of the ball when it comes up. But what he does well is after he's retained possession, he then likes to get into the box and get in those positions that Haaland does, or sometimes being the ones outside. And he just peels off the back of him and just taps it in. He knows exactly where he is all the way through that movement. All he does is just lets him go across, and then he just steps into that space and gets a great tap in.
In that instant, he didn't need to do anything other than stay in between those defenders, because you saw Mahrez's great move. You see Gundogan getting on the ball with time. Look what he's doing there. He's taking a mickey out of him there. You see Mahrez with time. You see, so what happens is that you can stay in the middle then, Alvarez, like what you'd see Erling Haaland doing. So you stay in there and get the tap in. You look at that goal, that's probably a goal what Erling Haaland would have scored. So he's recognised as well when you need to go deep and when you just stay at the top in between the defenders.
That was an early common theme throughout the game from City.
Absolutely, Steve. And another common theme when we look at this, just before the build-up starts here, look at Manchester City again outnumbering Liverpool at the back, 5 against 4 this time. I mean, every goal virtually in this game has started off with them being outnumbered at the back. Righty made some great points at half-time, and we'll go to look at them in a short while. But this is a really interesting part of this goal, is this guy here in terms of Andy Robertson and his role in it. In this situation, he's obviously got his man here in Mahrez, but he makes a critical decision. You can see Kevin De Bruyne in this area here, and he makes the decision to go and press him early on. And when he goes and presses him, Steve, I mean, half the time you block that, the ball actually goes through his legs, as we can see. I mean, he's onside here, Mahrez. You can quite clearly see he's onside. But this ball could have ricocheted off Andy Robertson. As it happens, it goes through his legs, and all of a sudden, they're in trouble. Now, Righty mentioned at the outset, this player here, he can probably get back. And
that's Harvey Elliott, yeah.
Harvey Elliott. Because Trent has got a problem now. Van Dijk has got to come and cover Andy Robertson because of his bad decision. And now, all of a sudden, when we forward it on, Trent comes across, makes it 2v2. So I don't blame him at all here for leaving Grealish at the top.
Absolutely.
Righty.
And this is where you needed Harvey Elliott to get back and really get back to cover that space what Jack Grealish is going to come to. Absolutely, because then what happens is we know with Jack Grealish, even though we saw him earlier on put one across with his left foot, if you can get there and get there in time, bring him back inside, that will give you time, get your defenders back, and probably they don't get to finish like they did there. But he doesn't get back in time. And again, it was kind of like synonymous with what Liverpool were doing today. They just looked, for me, a yard off of everything.
And off he went. You can see how happy he is. Not too often, Sean, do we hear Pep Guardiola say that was a perfect performance.
You're too right there, but I can't really see, apart from maybe the goal, if we're nitpicking and looking at little small details, I didn't think there was anything in that performance you could actually find in a way to fault, even though we played with 4 centre-back, which we thought Liverpool would try and exploit, which they didn't really.
No, a very good day for Manchester City. And of course, quite the opposite for Liverpool. That is only 4 away points in the last 21 available. They've conceded 4 goals for the first time in over 2 years. Here are the thoughts of Jurgen Klopp.
Jurgen, you started the first half very effectively, but seemed to get caught cold at the second half and never recovered, really. Is that right?
Yeah. I think we saw a first half which you could expect, a dominant City side with us, really good organised, with our moments. Always when we played, we were really in the game. We caused some problems as well, scored a wonderful goal, had another big counter-attacking moment where we could have played it better. So 1-1 half-time, it's clear. You can show the boys what we have to do, where we have to defend them, because the key areas are clear. The key areas are, if we don't control the 6-6, you have a real problem. If you then don't control the 10, Gundogan, De Bruyne in between, then it's pretty much impossible to play, because then the pitch becomes too big. So we concede this first goal, so I think an open ball in midfield where we don't even have a challenge. Then the ball outside, we are too deep, and then the counter-attack happens. Great play. 2-1. Directly after that, 3-1, where we have a massive overload on one side, should win the ball, but I don't even have a challenge. So these kind of things absolutely cannot happen, but they happened. And after that, we were just open, like, wow. They could do whatever they want, and we just had to follow. We are lucky that they didn't. We're not in the most greedy mood. They scored a fourth one, but then they were happy, obviously, kind of as well. So apart from that, there's nothing good to say about this game. This is a game which we have to use, unfortunately, to make clear which things cannot happen. We cannot not have challenges in key areas. We cannot be that kind of open. That's absolutely not possible, but it happened, and no, I stand here, have to explain it, and cannot explain it, I just can describe it.
Yeah, that's Jurgen Klopp. 4 shots today, Liverpool. Their lowest in a Premier League match for 12 years. 2 huge games, Chelsea and Arsenal at home, up and coming.
Yeah, they are huge games. We saw the graphic early on that says Liverpool get results against the big teams. Of course, that goes against the grain today. But they do have to play Chelsea away and then Arsenal at Anfield. That'll be a different game with the Anfield faithful behind them. But no, things aren't perfect at the moment. You saw they fell away once the going got tough today. They fell away. I thought for the first half it was a brilliant game. The Liverpool of old, 2 massive teams going at it, but then as soon as City started getting a bit of dominance, they almost looked as if they cracked, and their confidence ebbed away a little bit quickly, and quicker certainly than we've seen it in the past. So they've got to get that back. But there were signs in the first half where you think Liverpool are no easy touch, and I'm sure they'll be back still.
OK, that is some start to your Premier League Saturday. Stand by. 5.
Visit category for any football fan should the chance come his or her way. Anfield is the venue. I'm Derek Ray, joined by Lee Dixon in the commentary position, and looking forward to bringing you action from the Premier League coming right up. It is Liverpool facing Manchester City.
Yeah, the talking is over, the game plans are set, now it's up to...
Must take the lead here. Tremendous block. Let's take a look at the Liverpool starting 11. Alisson gets the nod in goal. Andrew Robertson starts with Trent Alexander-Arnold in the fullback positions. Thiago starts with Jorginho Wijnaldum in central midfield. Oh, in with a chance! Keeper did his job to begin with. Well, they can keep possession now. That's very effective. Good. Oh, he's through here. Big chance. And a goal! They start as they mean to continue. They make the opening statement.
Well, Derek, as we see it again, it's a big mistake. You try to teach youngsters not to get caught in possession and be aware of what's around you. He has no clue, and he pays the price. Well, he's got to be delighted with his players, a big smile on his face. They've got the noses in front, they're in the lead, well done.
On they go again. A wake-up call for the City players, maybe. Can they find a response now? De Bruyne. And Manchester City moving the ball with purpose. It did look on for them, but not to be. So a goal kick is what's coming up here. Wijnaldum. Delightful pass. And he's in. Big chance it is. In it goes! He's made it a brace for himself. No stopping him apparently.
We can take another look here. I'm sure the keeper is frustrated with the defending. Just afforded too much time in the box, and he's never going to miss that.
Well, the goal again, albeit from a different angle.